Walk into any pharmacy or health food store, and you'll find shelves lined with vitamin D supplements promising everything from stronger bones to better mood to disease prevention. The marketing is compelling, and you've probably heard from friends, family, or even healthcare providers that you should be taking vitamin D, especially as you get older. But here's what most people don't realize. The truth about vitamin D supplementation for seniors is far more nuanced than the simple everyone over 60 needs to take it message you often hear. There are important facts that can make the difference between supplementing safely and effectively versus wasting money or even potentially causing harm. Today, we're uncovering 5 crucial truths about vitamin D supplements that every senior needs to know. These aren't the marketing claims you see on supplement bottles. These are evidence-based facts that will help you make informed decisions about whether you need vitamin D, how much to take, and how to use it safely and effectively. Before we dive in, download our free guide on essential supplements for seniors and join our senior health community where we discuss evidence-based approaches to nutrition and wellness. Let's start with truth number 1. Most seniors are deficient, but testing is essential before supplementing. You've probably heard that vitamin D deficiency is extremely common in older adults, and this is actually true. Research shows that 40 to 60% of seniors have inadequate vitamin D levels. That's a significant portion of the population, which is why vitamin D has gotten so much attention in recent years. But here's what makes seniors particularly vulnerable to deficiency. First, as we age, our skin becomes less efficient at producing vitamin D from sunlight. The same sun exposure that would create adequate vitamin D in a younger person produces about 75% less in someone over 70. Second, many seniors spend less time outdoors than younger people. Whether due to mobility limitations, living in care facilities, concerns about skin cancer, or simply lifestyle changes after retirement, reduced sun exposure means less natural vitamin D production. Third, kidney function naturally declines with age, and your kidneys play a crucial role in converting vitamin D to its active form that your body can actually use. Even if you're getting vitamin D from sun or supplements, age-related kidney changes can affect how well your body processes it. So yes, deficiency is common, and supplementation often makes sense for seniors. But here's the critical truth that gets overlooked. You shouldn't assume you're deficient and start supplementing without actually testing your levels. Why does this matter? Because both deficiency and excess can cause problems. Taking high-dose vitamin D when you don't need it can lead to toxicity issues we'll discuss later. And if you are deficient, you need to know your actual levels to determine the right dose to correct the deficiency. The test you need is called 25-hydroxyvitamin D, or 25-OH vitamin D. This measures the storage form of vitamin D in your blood and gives the most accurate picture of your vitamin D status. Here's what the numbers mean. Levels below 20 nanograms per milliliter are considered deficient. Between 20 and 30 is considered insufficient by many experts. The optimal range is generally considered 30 to 50 nanograms per milliliter. Above 50, you're getting into levels where the benefits plateau and potential risks increase. Many healthcare providers will say anything above 20 is fine, but research suggests that optimal levels for bone health, immune function, and overall wellness are actually in that 30 to 50 range. The key point is this: get tested before you start supplementing. If you're already taking vitamin D, get tested to see if your current dose is appropriate. Most insurance plans cover vitamin D testing, especially for seniors, and it's a simple blood test. Once you know your levels, you and your healthcare provider can determine if you need to supplement and at what dose. This personalized approach is far more effective and safer than just buying a bottle off the shelf and hoping for the best. Truth number 2, not all vitamin D supplements are equal. Once you've determined that you need vitamin D supplementation, the next truth you need to understand is that all supplements are not created equal. The type of vitamin D, how you take it, and what else is in the supplement all significantly impact how well it works. First, let's talk about vitamin D2 versus vitamin D3. Vitamin D2, called ergocalciferol, comes from plants and fungi. Vitamin D3, called cholecalciferol, comes from animal sources and is the same form your skin produces from sunlight. The research is clear. Vitamin D3 is significantly more effective at raising and maintaining blood vitamin D levels. Studies show that vitamin D3 is approximately 87% more potent than vitamin D2 at raising vitamin D levels in your blood. So when you're choosing a supplement, look for vitamin D3 or cholecalciferol on the label. This is the form you want. Next crucial point, vitamin D is fat soluble, not water soluble. This means it needs fat to be absorbed properly. If you take your vitamin D supplement on an empty stomach or with just water, you're absorbing significantly less than if you take it with a meal that contains some fat. This doesn't mean you need to eat a heavy, fatty meal. Even a small amount of fat is sufficient. Taking your vitamin D with breakfast that includes eggs, yogurt, avocado, or even just a glass of milk provides enough fat for proper absorption. Some vitamin D supplements come in an oil-based soft gel or liquid form, which can improve absorption. These can be good options, especially if you have digestive issues that might interfere with fat absorption. Here's another important consideration. Quality matters. The supplement industry is loosely regulated, and studies have found that some supplements don't contain the amount of vitamin D listed on the label. Some contain less than claimed, while others contain more, which could lead to taking too much without realizing it. Look for supplements that have been third-party tested. Organizations like USP, NSF International, or Consumer Lab test supplements to verify they contain what they claim and are free from contaminants. These certifications aren't required, but they provide assurance of quality. Now let's talk about vitamin K2, a cofactor that's often overlooked but increasingly important when taking higher doses of vitamin D. Vitamin D helps your body absorb calcium, which is good for bones. But vitamin D alone doesn't tell calcium where to go. This is where vitamin K2 comes in. Vitamin K2 activates proteins that direct calcium to your bones and teeth where you want it, rather than allowing it to deposit in your arteries and soft tissues where it can cause problems. When you're taking vitamin D supplements, especially at higher doses, also ensuring adequate vitamin K2 intake helps keep calcium going to the right places. Some vitamin D supplements now include vitamin K2, which can be convenient. If yours doesn't, you can get vitamin K2 from foods like fermented foods, especially natto, or from aged cheeses and egg yolks. Some people choose a separate K2 supplement. The bottom line, choose vitamin D, 3 over D2. Take it with food that contains some fat. Look for quality third-party tested brands, and consider vitamin K2 to optimize calcium regulation. Truth number 3, more is not better, the megadose myth. This might be the most important truth we discuss today because there's a widespread misconception that when it comes to vitamin D, more is always better. You've probably seen supplements offering 5,000 or even 10,000 international units per capsule, and you might have heard recommendations that seniors should take these high doses daily. Here's the truth. For most people, including most seniors, these megadoses are unnecessary and potentially harmful. The recommended dietary allowance for adults over 70 is 800 international units daily. Some experts suggest that 1,000 to 2,000 international units daily is appropriate for many seniors, especially those with limited sun exposure or factors that increase deficiency risk. But 5,000 to 10,000 international units daily? That's far more than most people need for maintenance, even if they're starting with insufficient levels. Here's what happens with vitamin D toxicity. Because vitamin D is fat soluble, excess amounts are stored in your body fat rather than being excreted in urine like water-soluble vitamins. This means that taking too much over time leads to a buildup that can reach toxic levels. Vitamin D toxicity causes a condition called hypercalcemia, which means too much calcium in your blood. Symptoms include nausea, vomiting, weakness, frequent urination, kidney problems, bone pain, and in severe cases, kidney stones, abnormal heart rhythms, and kidney failure. The concern isn't that you'll take a high dose once and have problems. The issue is taking unnecessarily high doses, day after day, week after week, allowing levels to build up to potentially dangerous amounts. Research has also found that very high vitamin D levels above 50 nanograms per milliliter don't provide additional benefits and may actually be associated with increased health risks, including higher rates of falls and fractures, the very things we're trying to prevent. Here's what often happens. Someone gets tested and finds out they're deficient. Say their level is 15 nanograms per milliliter. They decide to take 5,000 international units daily to correct it. Their levels do increase, which is good. But they continue taking that high dose indefinitely rather than reducing to a maintenance dose once their levels are optimized. The better approach is this. If you're deficient, your healthcare provider might recommend a higher initial dose to correct the deficiency, perhaps 2,000 to 4,000 international units daily for several weeks or months. Then, once your levels are in the optimal range of 30 to 50, you reduce to a maintenance dose, typically 800 to 2,000 international units daily. Some healthcare providers use even higher loading doses for severe deficiency, sometimes 50,000 international units once or twice weekly for a limited time. This should only be done under medical supervision with follow-up testing to monitor levels. The key is getting retested after several months of supplementation to see if your dose is working and to adjust accordingly. You might need more, you might need less, or you might find that your current dose is just right. Don't fall for the more is better myth. Optimal vitamin D levels are a range, not a race to the highest number possible. Truth number 4, vitamin D alone won't fix everything it's marketed for. If you pay attention to health news and supplement marketing, you've probably seen vitamin D credited with preventing or treating an impressive list of conditions: depression, cancer, heart disease, dementia, diabetes, and more. Some people call it a miracle vitamin. Here's the truth. Vitamin D is important, but it's not a cure-all, and the evidence for many of these dramatic claims is weaker than the marketing suggests. Let's start with what vitamin D actually does. Backed by solid scientific evidence, vitamin D is crucial for bone health because it helps your body absorb calcium. Adequate vitamin D reduces the risk of osteoporosis and fractures in seniors. This is well established and important. Vitamin D also plays a role in immune function. It helps regulate your immune system and may reduce susceptibility to certain infections, particularly respiratory infections. This is why you might have heard about vitamin D in relation to colds and flu. Vitamin D is important for muscle function. Adequate levels are associated with better muscle strength and may help reduce the risk of falls in older adults, though this seems to be most relevant for people who were deficient to begin with. These are the primary well-supported roles of vitamin D. Now let's talk about the exaggerated claims. Depression and mood. While vitamin D deficiency has been associated with depression in some studies, supplementation in people who already have adequate levels doesn't reliably improve mood. If you're deficient, correcting that might help mood, but vitamin D isn't an antidepressant. Cancer prevention. Observational studies found associations between higher vitamin D levels and lower cancer rates, which created excitement. But when researchers actually gave people vitamin D supplements in controlled trials, they didn't find significant reductions in cancer risk. The relationship is more complicated than initially thought. Dementia and cognitive decline. Similarly, low vitamin D has been associated with higher dementia risk, but supplementation studies haven't shown that taking vitamin D prevents cognitive decline in people with adequate levels. With heart disease, the evidence here is mixed and inconclusive. Some studies suggested benefits, others didn't find significant effects. Here's what's important to understand. Correlation doesn't equal causation. People with higher vitamin D levels might have lower disease rates, not because the vitamin D itself is protective, but because they're healthier overall, they're more active, spend more time outdoors, eat better diets. The vitamin D level is a marker of overall health rather than the direct cause of the health benefits. Additionally, vitamin D doesn't work in isolation. It requires cofactors, nutrients, that work alongside it to function properly. We mentioned vitamin K2 for calcium regulation. Magnesium is also crucial because it's required for vitamin D metabolism. You need adequate magnesium for your body to convert vitamin D to its active form and to use it properly. Calcium obviously works with vitamin D for bone health. Taking vitamin D without adequate calcium intake won't optimize bone health. The truth is that optimal health requires a comprehensive approach. A healthy diet, regular physical activity, good sleep, stress management, social connection, and maintaining a healthy weight all matter enormously. Vitamin D supplementation can be one helpful piece of that puzzle, especially if you're deficient, but it's not a substitute for overall healthy living. If you're taking vitamin D hoping it will compensate for an otherwise unhealthy lifestyle, you're going to be disappointed. Use it as part of a comprehensive approach to healthy aging, not as a magic bullet. Truth number 5, food sources are still important supplements. Aren't a complete replacement. The final truth is that while supplements can be helpful and sometimes necessary for seniors, they shouldn't completely replace getting vitamin D from natural sources, food, and sensible sun exposure. Let's talk about food sources first. Very few foods naturally contain significant amounts of vitamin D, which is part of why deficiency is so common. But the foods that do contain it are worth incorporating into your diet regularly. Fatty fish are the best natural food sources. Salmon, mackerel, sardines, and herring all contain substantial amounts of vitamin D. A 3.5-ounce serving of cooked salmon provides about 500 to 600 international units of vitamin D. Canned fish like sardines and salmon are convenient and shelf-stable options. Egg yolks contain vitamin D, though not huge amounts, about 40 international units per yolk. Still, if you regularly eat eggs, they contribute to your total intake. Many foods are fortified with vitamin D. Most cow's milk is fortified with about 100 international units per cup. Many plant-based milk alternatives like almond milk or soy milk are also fortified, though amounts vary by brand. Some yogurts, orange juice, and cereals are fortified as well. Check labels to see how much they contain. Mushrooms are unique because they can produce vitamin D when exposed to ultraviolet light, similar to how human skin does. Some mushrooms are now grown or treated with UV light specifically to boost their vitamin D content. These can provide 200 to 400 international units per serving. While food alone typically won't provide all the vitamin D seniors need, especially if deficient, incorporating these foods regularly provides vitamin D along with other important nutrients and contributes meaningfully to your overall intake. Now let's address the sensitive topic of sun exposure. For decades, we've been told to avoid sun exposure because of skin cancer risk. This advice has undoubtedly prevented many skin cancers, but it may have also contributed to widespread vitamin D deficiency. The truth is that moderate sun exposure can be part of a healthy approach to vitamin D balanced with skin cancer prevention. Here's a reasonable guideline. Exposing your arms and legs to midday sun for about 10 to 15 minutes, a few times per week, without sunscreen, can help your body produce vitamin D. People with darker skin need longer exposure because melanin reduces vitamin D production. This should be done sensibly, not during the most intense sun hours if you burn easily, and not to the point of getting pink or burned. The goal is modest exposure that allows vitamin D production without causing skin damage. For your face, which has had much more cumulative sun exposure over your lifetime and is at higher risk for skin cancer, it's still smart to use sun protection. This guideline is specifically about less sun-exposed areas like arms and legs. If you have a history of skin cancer or high risk factors, discuss sun exposure with your dermatologist. For some people, getting vitamin D primarily from food and supplements while avoiding sun exposure is the right choice. The ideal approach for most seniors is combining all three sources. eating vitamin D-rich foods regularly, getting modest, sensible sun exposure when weather and circumstances allow, and supplementing as needed based on your tested levels to reach optimal ranges. This balanced approach provides vitamin D along with other benefits: the omega-3 fatty acids and protein from fish, the enjoyment and mental health benefits of time outdoors, and the reliable, consistent dose from supplementation. Don't rely solely on supplements while avoiding all sun exposure and vitamin D-rich foods. And don't rely solely on sun and food if testing shows you're deficient. Use the right combination for your individual situation. The truth about vitamin D supplementation for seniors is more nuanced than most marketing would have you believe. Get tested to know your actual levels. Choose quality vitamin D3 supplements and take them properly with fat-containing meals. Don't assume mega doses are better. Optimal dosing is individualized and moderate. Have realistic expectations about what vitamin D can and can't do for your health, and incorporate vitamin D-rich foods and sensible sun exposure as part of a comprehensive approach. If you haven't had your vitamin D levels tested, talk with your healthcare provider about getting tested. If you're already supplementing, consider getting retested to make sure your current dose is appropriate, not too little, not too much. Download our free guide on essential supplements for seniors with detailed information on vitamin D and other important nutrients, and join our senior health community where we discuss evidence-based approaches to nutrition and healthy aging. Your health is too important to rely on marketing hype or guesswork. Arm yourself with facts, test your levels, and work with your healthcare provider to develop a vitamin D strategy that's right for your individual needs. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.